It's the old lady hands for me.
That has nothing to do with what I'm complaining about right now.
Welcome back. This is Shaken Not Scared. You're here with Erick and Vivi. How are you, Vivi?
Good. It's your birthday today, the day this is posted.
Oh, I was like, not today.
Yeah. Happy Aries season. How do you feel?
I feel the same.
You don't feel empowered by the chaotic energy in the air?
Should I? Should I start like throwing hands and running around in circles? I do that anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, you're 29 today.
Yeah, I'm one step closer to 30, but you always make fun of me for that. I don't feel like
I
I'm
don't
30.
make fun of you. I'm excited to be 30.
Are you?
Yeah.
You probably already are 30.
I act like I'm 65 years old. So I'm excited to just be like, it's because I'm 30.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, happy birthday. Everybody go wish Eric a happy birthday. Because it's your birthday, you picked the movie this week.
I did.
Yay.
There's like no birthday-related reason. We tried to find some movies that were like maybe from 1992, which is when I was born, or like March-related. I couldn't find anything special. It was all like super sequels. I'm talking like third and fourth versions of movies. So nothing like iconic, except for like I guess Bram Stoker's Dracula came
Which
out.
I love.
Yeah.
I do want you to see that movie because I don't think you've seen it.
I don't think I've. Maybe. Is it the one with
Winona Ryder and
Oh, no, not what I thought.
Keanu Reeves.
I was going to say, is it the one with, what's his name? I think he plays, it doesn't matter, I can't remember his name.
If you're thinking about Gary Oldman, who plays in Harry Potter, who plays Sirius.
Oh, no.
No,
Also
okay.
not the one. There's another one with like...
There's a
5
ton of Draculas.
Tons. So that's why I didn't pick that one. There was one called 31. Apparently, like, it was created by Rob Zombie, I think.
Oh, nice.
And it's like another Devil's Rejects, so I was like, man, we could watch
Oh, so it's
something
also
else.
a sequel?
It's not a sequel, but it's apparently a lot like it. So, but the reviews were kind of like, it's just another Devil's Rejects, Rob Zombie type movie. So,
You know,
I didn't
I've
pick that.
only seen House of a Thousand Corpses, and I know Devil's Rejects like the sequel to that, so I don't know about his other movies.
This 31 apparently is like just like those. It's like a circus act kind of gone wrong thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll get to House of a Thousand Corpses eventually.
It's pretty good
Yeah.
if you're scared of people, because there's nothing like eerie about it. I think it's again
gross,
just like the
for
people
sure.
being messed up. Kind
Yeah.
of situation. But yeah, we picked The Descent, which is from I can't pick or decide or confirm which one it is, but we saw 2005 and 2006. It looks like maybe the 2005 version is the UK one, and 2006 was like the US release or something, because Hulu and Amazon said 6, but when you look it up, it's 2005. So I'm assuming 2005 is right.
Yeah, I think the only version that we're able to find, because we're in the States, is the US release. But we did look up the alternate ending, which we can talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
You said you had a fact about that, but do you
Yeah.
want to talk about this drink first?
We have to see it's directed by Neil Marshall. Sorry, got to throw that in there. Didn't mention him.
Okay.
But yes, let's talk about the drink.
Yes, let's not take credit for his movie. People are not going to know that we didn't
Who
produce
even
and
is
write
this
it.
guy? But yeah, so what drink you got?
So I have never seen this movie, so when you don't really know what it's about, it's kind of hard to make up a drink. My thought process was cave dweller, dark, and because I looked at a couple movie posters, it's very like red themed, real bloody.
You find out
scenes.
why later.
You do. So I went with what I'm gonna call cave dweller sangria, and it's a very, very dark sangria. I don't know if you're looking at it right now.
It is. It's very, very deep red.
Yeah, so that's what I was going for. It's basically made up of my favorite red wine so far that I've found. It's carnivore, so we use carnivore. We use pomegranate juice, which gives it a super dark color. And what else did I? Oh, blood orange soda, because there's the word blood in it. And we mixed it. Usually sangrias are topped with brandy, but we use tequila for this one because we just bought the Rocks tequila and we wanted to try it. We've been
Yeah, the
making
Rock.
drinks with it.
Terramana, apparently it's good. We haven't tried it yet. Well, we kind of tried it.
Yeah, we tried it in another drink, but we got the Reposado.
Which one?
Reposado.
Reposado?
Yeah.
Raspada?
Reposado.
No, it's
I
not
wanted
sold by
Raspado.
a man on the corner.
That's what I wanted.
With colored flavoring.
It could be okay. That's that's actually a good idea. I'm sure people would buy that.
We should make that for some sort of like ice
Oh, we should.
movie.
Yeah.
But cool. You
Yeah.
want to try it now?
Give it a try.
Sure.
Oh, I also topped it with blueberries and orange because it's sangria and you got to put fruit in it.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, it's delicious. I actually love it. I think
With all those ingredients, you think it'd be like super sour or sweetish, but it's like fresh. It's like a fresh drink, yeah.
It's funny, my cousin actually asked me for a good sangria recipe earlier, and like sangria is one of those things that you could customize a million ways.
I think that's why. Like I expected it to be very like super sweet. Sangria can be hit or miss depending on where you get it from. This is really good.
Yeah, typically white sangria is like really sweet, and then red is more bitter, which we tend to like more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one's not very bitter. It's got a hint of sweet. It's not like unsweet, but it's good. It's like a very fresh sangria. I would drink this on a hot summer day.
I think you said that about the last drink too. But
fresh drinks are my thing if they're super sweet.
Yeah, you love that. I also think that adding tequila instead of brandy gives it a pretty good flavor. But I think I like tequila more than brandy.
How much tequila did you add? A lot?
It was like half a cup. It's not a ton.
It sounds like a lot when you say half a cup of tequila.
Yes, it does sound like it.
That's good,
what would you rate it?
I'd give it a 3.5. That's pretty good. 3.75 actually, a little higher.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 because I fucking love wine, and it just tastes like a really good red wine to me.
You know what? That's a good point because the carnivore could have a lot to do with the taste too. Because carnivores are actually really good wine. I mean, I like bitter wines, and I agree with you. Carnivore is probably like one of the better red wines we've had.
Yeah, we
have had
the cheap wines because we don't get like extravagant ones.
No, the bottle's cool too. It's got like a little slash through it.
Yeah.
But no, this is good. Yeah, so if you're listening to this, try it out. We'll probably post a video on how to make it, so keep an eye out for that.
Now, do I give an overview or do you give me fun facts?
No, I think we skipped a new segment that we want to talk about.
Oh, that's true. So, we were thinking of adding a little corner of our podcast called the
Consuming Creepy Content segment.
Basically, we're just going to tell you what creepy content we've been consuming throughout the week.
Yep, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like the creepiest content.
No.
I think mine's Luigi's Mansion. So.
Mine's is also a game. Do you want to go first?
No, you go first. Okay. You were super excited to get this game.
I was. I like sent it to you and was like, buy this for me. I'm terrible at it, but I really wanted to play Little Nightmares 2 on Switch. And yes, it is creepy, and it stresses me out so much while I'm playing it.
You got pretty far, right? This is your second day playing it now?
Yeah, it's been like my second night playing it, and I didn't grow up playing video games, so it takes me like 20 minutes to do a simple task.
I know, I was just sitting there and you were like throwing the control at me. Pass this for me.
Yes, I think in the end you're just gonna end up playing it, and I'm gonna end up watching you, like we were doing with Resident Evil. But
we're still not done with that. But
yeah, it's been fun.
What's it about?
You know, there's no like clear storyline. It's like this little creepy kid with a like a paper bag hat over his head, like comes out of the grave and just survives like creepy things with his little creepy friend.
Yeah, there's like no dialogue. I've seen you play, and I'm like, where do you have to go? Because you just passed me the control.
It's literally
when
like
I say
a puzzle.
She just throws the control at me. She's like, you pass this, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Where do I go? You also like asked me to help you kind of figure out some of the puzzle type because it's kind of like a puzzle game. You have to like figure out how to get out of the rooms and stuff.
Well, because when you were playing Resident Evil, I was also like trying to help you figure out the puzzle stuff.
It's got a nice little like dark hue to it. The style is really cool too. If you like Hollow Knight.
It reminds me of I imagine like Silent Hill, like old style type video games like that.
You also can't tell if like the people are mannequins or not because their faces.
Oh, they're like it's kind of like a world where all the adults are the enemy and the little kids are like
toys.
No, like the heroes kind of world.
Oh, the kids as in you, because
you and your little friend, because there's also like killer children in a school.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that the level you were playing yesterday was like a classroom, and the kids, like when you bash their heads in, break like dolls.
Yeah.
So
yes, it is creepy.
It is creepy. Yeah.
Yeah. What creepy content are you playing this week? Well, or watching or reading.
A couple things. Luigi's Mansion, we also played that yesterday. It was like the first time we played. It's also not as creepy as Little Nightmares 2.
No, it's like cutesy creepy. It's like fun. Haunted Mansion creepy.
The whole time you play as Luigi, who's just like shivering and getting startled by like everything. It's kind of like you go into this hotel, everyone's going Mario, Peach, the Toads, and then the hotel's kind of got this like fake facade of it's like great and awesome, and you were invited here by some lady.
This is like the third installment of this game, correct?
Yes, Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Switch too.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm assuming stuff happens in the other ones because they keep talking about like you've released all the ghosts from before and now you have to catch them all again, and you get this like vacuum. And yesterday I was just robbing the hotel because you get to get behind the front desk and you get this like vacuum, and I think that's what makes it not creepy. I mean, I could see how like kids maybe growing up would be
I don't
creeped out.
even think it's kid creepy. I think it's just like wholesome creepy.
It is. It gave us like Tower of Terror.
Yeah, Haunted
Like Haunted
Mansion,
Mansion
Disney vibes.
Yeah, you get a vacuum. You can like vacuum up, almost like Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
You can like vacuum up the ghosts, and then you have to like fight them and bash them into the ground. But it was fun. Yeah, I think I'll keep playing it.
Is that your only creepy content of the week?
We're watching a lot of anime. It's kind of creepy, like Demon Slayer.
You're catching up on Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan's pretty good right now,
which is creepy in its own special way.
Yeah. Have you read that Junji Ito book this week?
I was reading like the first story. It's a lot like we actually watched this a couple months ago, but they had turned it into an actual anime, and it's like the stories from the anime, but probably a little better written. It's the actual author's work, so
yeah, there's like some really cool stories in there. I think one of the creepier ones is on the cover with the foreheads, and that like the guy is trying to like make a baby with this girl, and turns out that if he doesn't in time, he's gonna get his head sucked into the rest of the family.
Yeah, it's something about family lineage, and it's pretty gross.
Oh, it's nasty.
Yeah.
And then there's the model.
Oh, the model is terrifying. If you don't know what we're talking about,
look at pictures of Junji. So honestly, you could probably do like images.
Yeah, it's called the Junji 2 collection. It's a whole series.
We might link it in the show notes or something.
Yeah,
we'll talk about all these probably in there.
Yeah, if you care about this segment of the pod. If not, I guess we can start the movie.
Yeah. Cool. So you want to give a brief overview? What does the Wikipedia, IMDb, whatever we're talking about say?
So it's IMDb. I have actually never seen this movie. It was your pick. You've actually talked to me about it for like a while now.
I have. Yeah, and I looked it up before we watched it to see like how it was reviewed. Because I remember growing up and watching it. From 2005, I was like 13 at the time it came out. But it was like well reviewed, so I figured, hey, let's go watch it. You haven't seen it ever, so I figured you'd get your like raw reaction.
So it says, a year after a severe emotional trauma, which I think is an understatement, Sarah goes to North Carolina to spend some time exploring caves with her friends. After descending underground, the women find strange cave paintings and evidence of earlier expeditions. Then learn they are not alone. Underground predators inhabit the crevices, and they have a taste for human flesh.
The crevasses.
The crevasses, yeah.
I like how it says strange paintings, and they're not. They're just like cavemen drawings.
And it says strange cave paintings, which
they're not.
I got. They are just cave paintings.
But no, I guess that pretty much sums it up.
Yep. So you got fun facts?
I do. So I have a bunch actually, more than a lot of the other movies. Some of the ones I want to cover are from SpookIsles.com, but the crawlers were played by professional actors. Like,
so they're
not stunt people.
Okay.
The reason for this was because Neil Marshall wanted them all to have their own personalities.
Interesting.
So he wanted the entire experience to be authentic, so he even kept the crawler cast members and the main 6 actresses separate the entire time of filming. So the first time that the audience sees these crawlers kind of jump out at the actresses is the first time the actresses also had seen the crawlers for the first time.
That's a really good idea to get like a genuine reaction out of the actresses, you know?
As I was taking down this note, though, I was thinking like, how many retakes could you possibly take without kind of messing with that plan?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You had to take like the first
It
take.
had to be like the first shot.
Yeah. So that's cool. Cast of cavers, so this is the second fact. The cast of cavers was supposed to be mixed male and female, but the entire cast is female. So the reason the director did this was because he figured there weren't so many female exclusive casts at the time, and so he changed it up a little bit and also referenced some friends so that he wouldn't make any stereotypes of females in the movie.
And that's something you definitely notice right away. This is like the first group, all female, no men. Yeah,
when I wrote down this note too, I was thinking like, yeah, I guess you don't get absolutely any other men except for the guy at the beginning, which we'll talk about, but that's all female.
Yeah.
The whole movie. And I guess the crawlers, but
right.
You know, the main actresses are all female, so that's pretty cool. And I think it's funny that he had to like reference some friends and get some advice so that he wouldn't make any stereotypes and kind of. For 2005, I think that's pretty cool.
That's pretty progressive because I feel like a lot of directors get in trouble for how they write female characters nowadays. Now, in 2021.
Yeah, 15, 16 years later. So, pretty cool fact. I have a couple of facts for later, but they're more in-depth to what happens throughout the movie, so I figured I'd bring them up later.
Cool.
So, some of it has to do with what you mentioned earlier with the alternate ending.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to get into it?
One more fact.
Oh, okay.
Not about the movie. but I brought this up a couple days ago because it was just uncanny that we were talking about this movie and brought it to you, and you were like, "Is it interesting enough?" But this week, this last week, of March 15th, a group of 15 people were put in isolation for 40 days in a cave to study the effects of isolation on the emotional and cognitive functions of the human beings. Apparently this was done before for like physiological studies to see like how your body changes and things like that. But this is the first time it's being done to see how crazy you go, I guess.
Why? Why do we need that?
The way that they referenced it was kind of like those other studies that have been done, like the prison and prisoner experiments, things like that, to see how like the mind.
It does sound like a real life Russian sleep experiment.
When I looked it up, people were referring to it as like a pandemic study too.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that's a good point then. The isolation, but like
Mars is a thing that's coming up too. Is like this group of astronauts is going to go on this like one-way trip, basically. So I'm sure it's all related to see how crazy you could actually go. Because I don't know how you feel about this, but if I think about going somewhere in isolation, I don't think I'd go crazy. But you honestly don't know. I mean, science could tell you otherwise.
Oh, I definitely think I would go crazy. And there's like so many studies about like prisoners in solitary confinement. And how you definitely go crazy. It's like a cruel practice. Yeah.
So this movie I think is funny because it kind of like refers to like, all these things. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great. There's like pools. There's happy campers. Happy cavers. So yeah, I guess let's jump into the movie now.
Yeah.
And this cave.
But But the movie opens on, I believe is it called White River Raft or
just rapid rafting, river rafting, or whatever. We don't do this, obviously. We don't know what it's called.
Clearly, we don't. I do have cousins that have done it.
Your uncle just posted something. Oh no, canoeing.
Canoeing is definitely not like river
We're
rafting.
Living on the edge when you're just like paddling along a quiet river.
But it's very clear that it's like a group of friends that are like females that are very into the outdoors, adventures and things of that
hiking,
nature.
Climbing.
So like it's a group of 3 women. It's Sarah, Juno, and Becca, I believe.
At the beginning?
Is it Becca there? Or was it
Beth?
Was it Beth? It's Becca and Beth, so it's confusing. But yeah. They're doing this, and it's Sarah's husband and daughter are like cheering them on as they're going through this.
They finally make it to the bottom.
Yeah, they make it. Juno gets pushed into the river or whatever, and Sarah's husband helps her out. And it's a very obvious scene that something's going on between Sarah's husband, Paul, and her friend, Juno.
It's funny, I hadn't even noticed this, but you pointed it
out. Oh,
out.
you noticed it right away because, well, maybe this is a woman thing because this is happening, and then her other friend, Beth or Becca, is giving them a side eye like, I know what's happening here. So you got to pick up on all of that.
When you started bringing it up, I was like, yeah, I guess I could see that. Because you said that he doesn't just help her out. He starts to like take her helmet off and help her kind of like get situated. And meanwhile, Sarah, who is his wife,
is helping her daughter.
Yeah.
I was like, this is all obviously suspicious. So this happens, and eventually Sarah and her family drive off. They're all meeting at a hotel, and like the overview mentions, something tragic happens. They're in a crazy car accident where I guess some asshole who tied pipes to the top of his car crashes into them.
Is that guy the asshole? Because she's talking to the husband Paul and is like, you seem a little off, and he's like kind of like off. Yeah, he's kind of like, what? And in the background, you can see the car. I don't know if she's in the left lane because she's facing him. I think she...
No, because it's in the UK and they drive on the other side of the road.
Oh, my God. Don't let me drive in the UK. I'm just going to be crashing and people think I'm supposed to be on the right.
Oh, yeah, driving in, like, other countries. Why does America have to be special about fucking everything? I feel like they just want to guarantee we're not prepared for international travel. Like the metric system, they drive on the other side of the road. We are technically like the only country that has like...
Could you just go somewhere else and say that you didn't know when you crash into things and say that you're from America?
No, I think you'd still be held accountable. But like I was saying, we're also the only country that has like one language usually when most countries are like bilingual, trilingual.
Do we have one language though?
American. I mean, we don't.
American.
I did hear that joke before where it's like, what's the language of America? And it's like American. Sure.
Yeah. So she crashes, and it's
he
like
crashes.
She was driving.
He was driving because it's on the other side of the road.
Oh my God! Yes, I'm like so flipped. Yeah. So anyway, I guess he crashes because I guess I guess she has a point. She's like, is your mind somewhere else? And
Because
he's
he
like,
does
what?
not take his eyes off the road, and he just crashes.
Into that guy, yeah, or girl.
Mhm.
And the immediate first gruesome scene is all the pipes just flying through the front windshield, and it goes through his
Straight through his
his
head.
face, yeah, and the blood, and kind of.
I guess it's
out.
implied that it also happens to her daughter because she's on the side of the driver as well.
Yeah, I was gonna point out though, as it pans out from there too. I know you hate this, that's why I'm gonna bring it up. But when you say that it's too real, you can see his hands through the windshield,
Yeah,
and he's
I don't like that.
I'm guessing because the pipe goes through his face or his head, that the brain is sending signals through his hands, and he's like convulsing.
Honestly, I was gonna make a point that it's funny that you picked this movie because it literally has like so many things I hate in it, and that's one of them.
Really?
Yes. Physical activity in the outdoors being the other two.
Being outside in general.
I don't get it.
Yeah, so right away we get taken to kind of like the dream world with Sarah.
We do. She wakes up in the hospital, but it's kind of like a weird scene where she's the only one in the hospital and the lights are flickering behind her and she's screaming.
She's running away and the lights are shutting off, which I think is an allusion to later.
Yes.
That the darkness is basically like getting
coming.
Mm-hmm.
She runs into her friend who like basically tells her in a very dramatic fashion that because she's like screaming for her daughter, she's like tells her that her daughter is dead, and then suddenly there's a bunch of people in the hospital. And I like think this all the time about horror movies, but like what hospital are you staying at that they just let you run out of your room and that you're not monitored all the time?
Yeah, when we used to go visit my dad all the time, it was like you had to get buzzed in and then tell them who you were going to go visit, and then there's like a center where everyone kind of sees all the patients.
You have to be checked in, and like there's only certain hours. Like I've been in the hospital a couple of times for like Crohn's, and it was literally like you could not get up without them being like, "What do you need?"
Yeah, maybe they have like a monitoring, but
they do.
I don't know if it's
because they rip off their monitors, but even that sets them off like crazy.
They would go
and they would go check what's happening with you.
Because to them it could be like you flatlined.
You flatlined, yep.
Yeah, so they'd run, but this is when she runs into her friends who catch her because she kind of like snaps out of it and is actually outside running around, and her friend catches her, and then this is when you said that she finds out her daughter's also dead.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of seen, and then it's like 1 year later.
Wait, don't forget that Juno is seen also crying and walks away and doesn't console her with her other friend. I'm assuming Beth. I think Beth is the friend. Becca is the one who shows later. No, Becca is the one who shows up later with Sam and is already at the cave, or the cabin.
Okay, I have to look this up.
Because when they show up, Juno says hi to Sarah and Beth. They're both in the car. So I'm assuming Beth is like her best friend.
I thought it was Becca because it's Becca who dies in the cave.
Beth.
Spoiler alert.
It's Beth.
Oh my god, why did they name these girls like the same name?
Well, they all die except Sarah, but Beth is the one who is like her best friend. So I'm assuming the one in the hospital is Beth. Because they also drive together to the cabin. And then Beth is the one who tells her that Juno's...
Okay,
yeah,
so then
spoiler
Beth
alert
it is.
For all of this.
Beth it is. Juno's seen running away. Scene cut 1 year later.
Beth and Sarah drive into the middle of a forest. Looks like I like all the scenery in here because I know that you hate the outdoorsy stuff. I don't know that I'd be as adventurous to like jump into caves and start rock climbing as a beginner. These people seem like they're experienced, but all this scenery is amazing. And when they're talking about like we're in the middle of buttfuck nowhere and they're upset about it, I was like, what do you mean? This is great. If Francisco's listening to this, he would know what I'm talking about. These views are great. One of them even reminded me of when we were in the White Mountains up in New Hampshire.
I was watching this and I'm like, this looks like Twilight. The way they're like painting the forest scenes.
You mean our front yard?
Yeah. I don't hate the outdoors in that sense. I think it's all the like
physical activity.
The activity, yeah. Like I'm not a person who would rock climb. I hate heights. Like I'm not an active, coordinated person. So all of this seems like bizarre to me.
Honestly, all the things that happen in this movie that go wrong are things that probably anyone with some sense would like avoid completely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like everything that goes wrong goes wrong because of idiocy, not because they did anything like on purpose. Well, I take that back. Juno did it on purpose.
Juno kind of is the reason all this goes to hell.
I hate Juno.
Yeah, she's kind of the worst.
She has like a redemption arc,
but
not really.
Yes, we can talk about that. Again, like you mentioned, this is like an all-female cast. They're all
adventurers,
hikers, cave divers. I don't know what else they mention.
Holly's the one who kind of like mentions it. There were like bungee jumpers and climbers and
Yeah.
cavers and swimmers and divers and
Like
whatever.
whatever you want to call it, they're all there for the adventure.
So they show up to the cabin, and this scene, like, we kind of like skip through past this. Is that it's kind of like just like a bunch of girls hanging out. They're gonna go on this trip. They're preparing for the next day. They start drinking. They have girls' night for the most part. Everyone's kind of like doing their own thing. Some of them sit outside, inside. They're reminiscing on like previous adventures too. Holly's like a friend that Juno I think brings. None of them really knew her. She's kind of like this edgy woman who seems to have like gone through several adventures too and is looking for that next high. I think she says literally she's looking for that next high. So they're all kind of talking about what's gonna happen, and Sarah is there and kind of like awkward because it seems like she hasn't kind of gotten over everything obviously.
And would you? It's only been a year.
Oh, it's only been a year, yeah.
And it's your kid and husband.
Both.
Yeah.
It's tough. And everyone kind of like doesn't talk about it.
He's like dancing around it, but everybody knows.
Yeah. So the night's kind of playing itself, and then Sarah goes to sleep, has a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Has a pipe through the face nightmare.
Which is traumatizing. Because
she saw that probably.
It's another, again, very gruesome. This movie is super gruesome. I think it's crazy. It's like great how like out of nowhere the gruesomeness is, because this scene even, you don't expect her to just look out the window and then just get piped in the face.
I think like as a common rule for horror movies nowadays, you don't expect the bulk of the creepy to come till the end.
Yeah, and the creepiness here isn't even like, movies that we've talked about already is like there's either zombies or like a killer or even like ghosts. It's kind of like your own mental...
It ramps up at the end. And
your own mental state is like attacking you. Because you have... she's taking medicine too, right? I think we looked at like a review thing and it was talking about how she's got PTSD medication to handle what had happened to her.
Yeah. So again, this night is happening. Alcohol, drugs, whatever. I am only 27 years young. And if I was going to go on a big hiking adventure, then
I thought you were a 65-year-old lady.
I mean, physically, yes.
Mentally, yes.
Mentally, yes. According to the rules of the universe, I'm only 27. I would not drink the day before, because there's a scene where one of them is like screaming in the shower because she's hungover. Well,
and the water is super cold. But I was thinking the exact same thing, is that they're preparing for this next night that they have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. Well, correction. The other girls thought they knew what was going to happen because they thought they were going on this kind of like planned out path that they had researched apparently. Some of them even bring up the book later with the map and the info and whatever. So I guess under that logic, if I went to hang out with like friends who love hiking, I don't think it would matter if we knew what we were doing. You just go drink and have fun and then you go do your thing. But
yeah, I guess if you're experienced, this doesn't come into play. But I don't know, I guess we're just old and not hardcore enough.
Agreed, though. You'd have to drink a ton of water the night before so that you can like be prepped, hydrated, nutrient
Listen, I got a
meals.
Good night's sleep like 2 days ago and woke up like if I had drank heavily.
Had some Pedialyte like me last week.
But I didn't even drink. It's like, why?
Need some more electrolytes, man.
Possibly.
But yeah, so they're doing this thing, having a good time. You have a good point, though. Getting hammered on the night before a cave expedition or whatever. Yeah, they all wake up, and like you said, the one girl's screaming because the water is cold. Have you ever been camping like that, where you have to like shower in slimy water?
Yeah,
I've done it. You have?
I was there.
Oh, no. That water was not bad. No, I'm talking about like going in the middle of nowhere and there happens to be showers and there's cabins.
I think I know what you mean.
It's because they use like the local deposit of water if there's like a lake or a pond or whatever.
And it's kind of gross.
Like, it's slimy, mossy, whatever it is. But you have this like everlasting smell on you because the water isn't clean. Even if you use like the best shampoo and soap, it's like nasty on your body. But I was thinking about, I was like reminiscing with all that as they were like doing this little sequence. So they're showering, they're all stretching, they're showing off their tricks, and then they take this cute little picture.
They're not all showing off. Juno's being a fucking asshole.
Sure.
She went for a jog being hungover and like, fuck this person. If you are this person, I'm sorry. I don't like you. Just kidding. But she's being a show off.
She's not kidding.
I'm not kidding. She's being a show off and like rallying.
Very 90s, 2000s style like sequence.
You think so?
Yeah, this whole thing reminded me of like movies at the time.
I would say the only thing that really dates this movie is that watch that one of the girls has that
which saves lives.
It's like a really bulky 90s watch that's like glow in the dark.
You mean to tell me it wasn't the Samsung Gear S1000 or whatever we're on now? It's a smartwatch.
Yes, it was the first of its kind. ancestor to that watch.
Yeah, let's add saves lives to the capabilities of your smartwatch. 'Cause it does.
Yeah, but it dates this movie for sure.
Oh, for sure.
You could literally do that with your phone now. You could set off the ringer and toss it. Actually, you know what? If you had a phone, maybe just call somebody for help.
In a cave? I don't think so.
I don't know. GPS locator on.
Find my friend.
Find my phone.
You're at a bar nearby and you're like, what the hell? My friend's in the middle of the forest. Probably a trick.
They're getting ready to go on this cave diving expedition. Juno, further being an asshole, brought like a Indiana Jones type hat.
Wait, don't forget the cute little picture they take that then gets presented to us in the credits.
Yeah, that typical like ominous, this is the last time they were seen alive
And
photo.
together. So yeah, Indiana Jones, you're right, she has like the little hat. And they're all kind of like doing their thing, walking through the forest. Hold on, step back. Before they're doing the Indiana Jones thing, they get there. They're driving like crazy and maniacs through the forest, and they finally get there. They're all getting off the car, getting ready. Juno leaves the book in the car, purposely as like a little thing. And
honestly, this is where you kind of get the hint that if it wasn't for Juno's ego, they wouldn't be in this situation at all.
You don't understand why yet at this point that she does it?
No, I feel like she has something to prove. I don't know what it is though, because like her story's not tragic. You know?
Yeah, she makes like weird comments to people.
She really fucking does.
Like to Sarah earlier when she's or I don't know if it's later, but she says like, "You're not the only one who lost something in that crash."
Listen,
and I'm like, "What the hell does that mean?" First of all,
yes, it is.
You weren't in the crash, bro. What are you talking about?
It is later on, but it's like way to make something that's not about you. I mean, obviously we learned it's because she's having an affair with the man and they were in love.
But Sarah doesn't know that, so why would you even say that?
Like, why would you fucking say that?
What does that mean to Sarah? At that point, Sarah doesn't even know that that's going on.
She doesn't say it to Sarah. She says it to one of the other friends that knows, I think.
Oh, so it affected the friends more? It's so difficult for the friends?
Yeah, listen, I have friends who have kids and family. And while I would be incredibly sad if something happened to them, I would not fucking make it about me and be like,
your loss is so hard for me.
It's so hard for me. And that's literally what she does.
Yeah.
I wanted to take this moment to point out, what the fuck do you get out of cave diving? Because, okay, at least with hiking...
Is it cave diving? Is that the term? Or is it just cave exploring?
I don't know the exact term.
Whatever.
But at least with, like, hiking, I know that at the end you see a beautiful view. But, like, cave diving's underground. You see a bunch of beautiful rocks.
Yes. No.
Long pause.
Well, Holly takes a video camera, so I think that's kind of cool.
She's like, this is amazing. I'm like, it's a bunch of rocks.
Well, so I'm more curious about what view they were going to go see. Because the view they end up seeing is pitch black. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, unless you have a lot of really strong lights and your, like, headpieces and all that stuff are, like, bright enough for you to, like, get the view you're looking for. Because, you know, there's people who cave explore or whatever and find these really, really cool little, like, views or, you know, there's, like, underground waterfalls, and I guess the potential is there. I have absolutely no idea what cave exploration looks like, but I've seen some pretty awesome pictures that are from caves, you know. This one is not. I mean, their trip in this case is not fun.
I don't know. Maybe I disagree with you, because I do make a note later in this movie that, like, I did not think I was someone who was claustrophobic, but seeing them squished in these, like, small rock areas made me feel claustrophobic. And I would say that, like, it's not fucking worth it.
Indicator for when you're going off the path. Like when we go to like these little hiking areas in the national parks that we visited, you know how there's like the red that says you're going the wrong way or it's not a path. I think when you're having to climb through a crevice,
you're the wrong way.
Probably going the wrong way. or it's like kind of like, you know, we see those things on the hiking trails and no one's necessarily there to stop you. So, like, you can go.
Yeah, I think you'd be that person that goes through them sometimes.
Not in a cave. No, hell no.
Not in a cave, but on a hiking trail, you would definitely be like, who's going to stop me?
I have done that.
This is why I don't like going out.
But I'm also pretty good. You can't lie that I'm not really good with directions. Like, my sense of direction, I could backtrack without ever looking back at something.
It's not about that. It's about dangerous paths that you could fall off of.
Am I, like, falling off cliffs ever? Like, I don't know how you would... In the cave, yes. Because in the cave, like, there's that point in the movie where they're running through in the dark and then the one girl tells her to stop and they run to that ledge. Like, that I see if it's, like, nighttime. But in the middle of the day, if you go off, like, the beaten path, it's pretty clear if you're going to fall off a cliff or not.
You'd be one of the people that dies in a horror movie.
I would not.
Yes, you would. You'd be like, let's take the path that says danger and dead ahead.
I want to go see the dead ahead.
Yeah.
Isn't that what that means?
Isn't there? I think is it Dawn of the Dead? And it's like a sign that's like alive inside. Is it?
Alive? No, it's Walking Dead, and it says alive.
Do not open,
Do not
undead.
open. Don't open, dead inside, or something like that.
Yeah, but I think it's like
Don't dead.
But I think it's a callback to that movie, which we should probably watch to see if I'm completely making this up or not.
So they're walking to the cave.
You know, honestly, this movie is like one of those where we don't have to do too much plot summary because they literally are like diving into the cave and shit goes wrong immediately.
Yep, because we could probably just skip all the like ooh ah and like there's very like obvious ominous things that appear. I think when they finally just climb in. So Juno's character later becomes like a kick-ass character, and before they climbed in, someone mentions like I'm a fucking English teacher. What am I, Tomb Raider? Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of like allusions, I think, visibly at least, of Juno and Tomb Raider later.
Oh yeah,
and her like style and her like kick-assness. Think about it.
I guess so. I guess I don't want to say that because she's such a fucking ass.
Oh, she is. But then, like I said, she gets like a redemption
but
section. Not. Yeah. But anyway, there's these ominous things that they find in the hole once they finally dive in. Like, I can't remember which character it is, but she sees like these handprints.
Bloody... I think it's Sarah.
Is it Sarah?
Yeah.
These like bloody handprints on the wall. They're kind of just exploring, doing their thing. Holly's got her camera, and they're making jokes. And the first scare we get is the bats.
Oh my god, the awful early 2000s CGI that probably cost $1 million fucking dollars.
Mm-hmm. You know, Sarah's like creeped out or whatever. And so then they finally start to walk in. They're all having a good time. They break for lunch. Sarah is starting to hear things.
Sarah's kind of like been an unclear narrator for this story because, like you said, she's on medication and she continuously is hearing her daughter giggle, and there's this scene often referring back to her daughter with a birthday cake that we see. So like throughout the movie she's hearing giggling that nobody else is hearing. And before they even like dive into the cave, one of the friends lists off all the things that can happen to you while you're cave diving, and I think each one of them experiences them at some point. Panic attacks, paranoia, hallucination, dehydration, disorientation. Like, it's a whole list, and each one of them kind of experiences. So we're getting like, it's unclear. It seems like Sarah's hallucinating her daughter giggling the entire movie. And while they're eating, Holly's the one that kind of discovers that crevice. And I don't understand thrill seekers at all, because I don't see a tiny hole in the wall, and I'm like, let me go inside there. And they all follow her like fucking idiots.
Yeah, one of the friends, I think it's Becca, is like, Juno, are you sure? I read the book, and it doesn't really describe anything like this. And Juno's like, don't worry about it. It's whatevs. Like, it's cool. I know where I'm going. They start to get through the hole, and so we have our first kind of panic moment from Sarah, too, where they're
she gets stuck.
Yeah, they all made it through fine, and Sarah gets stuck, and I don't know if it's clarified if she actually got stuck or if she's just panicking because of the claustrophobia.
She actually got stuck because afterwards the rocks collapse on top of her. Well, where she was, she made it out in time. Yeah,
Beth kind of comes back to help her and starts making jokes.
Beth or like, Becca, unsure.
She's like, the worst that could have ever happened to you has already happened to you.
And I'm like, fuck, what a friend.
She starts giving her like clit jokes. She finally like makes her laugh, whatever, and they start to walk out, and the crevice starts to kind of like collapse on itself, and so you get them kind of running out, and they're trapped, and everyone's panicking, they're freaking out, and they're like, Juno, where are we? Why did it collapse? How do we get out? And Juno's like, I don't know.
This is a new cave system. No one's ever explored it. No one's ever gotten out alive. I thought we could name it. Yada yada yada. Yeah,
it's a whole ass moment where the girls are like freaking out because they realize that Juno's a bitch and
has led them to their death.
Yeah, she's like, I thought y'all would have fun, and they're like, we're not at Boreham Caverns, which is where they were supposed to go. Mm-hmm. She's like, no, it was supposed to be like a whole thing and an adventure for us. And first of all, if I went on an expedition with a friend like this, I'd be like, dude, are you for real? Like, I'm trying to get back home. There's drinks to be drunk at the cabin.
I gotta get my next hangover going.
Yeah. So they start to kind of panic. They're trying to find their way out. That's when they find that first like little cavern thing where they have to jump across and there's no way out other than to climb it. And so Becca is a badass. This whole scene is really long actually, but Becca starts to climb across the ceiling of that little cavern or that crossing. It's like a whole moment where she's like every inch she takes is suspenseful. Because she's having to put the new clips, and climbers could probably use the correct terminology, but she's using clips and carabiners and rope to help like set the path, which is what they call it, I think.
And
You
they
set the pad
find
across.
like a really old fashioned.
It's got like a loop. It's like someone
Equipment.
else had been there.
Yeah, and she just hooks it on there and they get across.
She kind of second guesses herself, but she does use it. And I thought that was a really bad idea, and it turns out to be a bad idea.
Does it though? I mean, they make it.
I mean, it's because you hate Juno, but Juno's the last one to go across.
Okay, and then
it lets loose on
Juno's
Juno.
doing some extra shit where she's like trying to save all the rope because they're gonna need it. You're not gonna need it. You're all gonna die. But
They're gonna know.
yeah, basically, she like falls, causes someone to get like horrible rope burn.
Becca, who's the badass who set this whole thing
Was it
up.
Becca or Sam?
It was Becca. Becca's the one who like did everything.
But Sam, at the end, you know how Sam dies like on the rope. She's like looking at her and like, "Fuck, I have rope burn and I still have to climb up."
Yeah, I guess it was.
Listen.
I don't know. I was wondering why Sam's hand were burnt later.
A lot of these actresses look alike. And they have names that all start with B, so we don't know who did what.
Yeah, they discover the wall paintings, and so everyone's kind of like, whatever, who cares? But Sam, I think, at this point is the one who points out, like, no, look, it refers to two entrances, because this is where we came from. There's another opening on the other side.
I don't think it's Sam.
I don't think the names matter. One of them says there's an opening on the
Man,
other
we did a
side.
terrible job with the names in this one.
Because there's 6 of them, and they're all just, like, in the dark. It's hard to tell
It
who's
really
who.
is hard to tell who did what.
They see the wall paintings, and one of them's like, look, it means that there's 2 entrances. So they're like, Juno's using a lighter to help her determine where the air is coming from to figure out what, if there's air, that's the way that there's an opening. They're kind of like running around, and Juno's like, oh yeah, it's this way. And Holly just throws herself and starts running
Through a hole.
Kind of sees, through a hole, and kind of sees some light. And starts just running in the dark to the light and falls. And Juno's behind her, like, Holly, stop, Holly, stop. Catches up with her, and Holly falls and slides down into this hole.
And pops her bone out of her leg, which I hate so much. And this is where I'm gonna restate how you picked a movie that has, like, everything I hate in it. Because I don't know what it is that I find so unsettling about the idea of falling and your bone ending up outside of your body. I think it's one of the most horrifying things you could possibly see, because I think your body goes into shock at that point and you don't necessarily feel all the pain you should be feeling.
You think so?
I think so, because I kind of remember watching a show similar to I Survived, where a woman was mountain climbing or something similar, and this happened to her, but she didn't feel it because her body had gone into shock. And she just looked down at her thigh, and her thigh bone was completely sticking
Snapped out, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how this scene is. Her legs, like past her knee, whatever you call that bone, is snapped out of her. And it's
Hate it.
visible, and they're like, it's a whole moment. And that's funny. I think of Saw. If you haven't seen, I can't remember which Saw it is, but there's a scene where one of the
Spoiler,
guys...
I haven't seen it. We're going to watch it.
I know. You're not going to know which one it is. It's fine.
Oh.
But something similar happens where this guy's getting crushed between these 2 walls, and to stop it, he puts his forearms...
Well, now I'm going to know
him.
when that scene starts happening.
You're not going to remember.
What happens. I am. We're going to watch it next.
Fine. We're going to just jump all
Just
5.
jump
I think it's
to
like the
number
5th one.
3 or 4 of Saw.
I think it's the 5th one. Yeah, and his like forearm snap in half, but
Ugh.
that's painful. Yeah.
So unsettling to me.
But yeah, so they go to help. Everyone's panicking because Holly's injured, and I think when you're in survival mode, thinking of like as a group too, and you think of like, oh no, we're gonna have to carry one of you guys now. Like you're not only just like think about the scene earlier. They had to cross this path, and all of them had to climb.
They
on
crawled,
their own.
and yeah.
So now you've got a handicap because you have to not only think about getting through this place on your own, and everyone's kind of healthy, but 2 people have to
Don't
worry
worry,
about carrying.
guys. You're all going to die. It's not going to matter.
We're gonna be put in a situation where we have to survive like this, and I'm gonna be like, well, you probably thinks we're gonna die, so there's no
And honestly,
point.
I'd be like, yep, I'm just going to lay here until it's my time because I am that lazy bitch.
Ambulance
That's just
shows
too
up.
much effort. I was depressed anyway. Goodbye.
You do always say that things work out if you just wait long enough.
It will solve itself.
Yeah. Ambulance
Honestly-
shows up in the middle of the desert.
In this situation, lying still and waiting would have been their best option.
That's true. Oh, would it? Well, I guess
You would have had to move eventually.
I don't think logic helps here because later on, one of them starts yelling like, "Help! Help! Someone, please come here and help me!" And it's like, I don't even think I'd try.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a cave, bro. Like, what?
And
But-
while this is happening, while they're trying to like repair her bone, Sarah sees her first glimpse of one of the cave dweller creatures.
comes back.
Tells everybody, and they're like, "Bitch, you crazy? That's not happening."
It's probably your drugs. You're hallucinating because of what happened to you and whatever. And I think this is when Juno says, "You're not the only one who lost something in that crash."
Something like that. Ugh,
Yeah.
I hate her.
But all hell breaks loose.
Pretty much from here on out, it's all just like
All of it. All of it
survival.
is just survival for everyone. They get split up because
they enter this area that is essentially all bones, and they're freaking out, and they're using, I believe, the camera with the night vision of the camera or whatever. We see a cave dweller like right behind them. Instantly. The cave dweller has run between them.
Yes.
And they run and scatter.
Yes, they're getting circled.
And then Sarah's like, I fucking told you. And that's when they all run.
All of them get split up. Becca and Sam are together. Holly and Juno get split up. Sarah runs and falls and then just like passes
Which
out.
is her MO for this entire movie.
So you don't really see where Beth went. Holly and Juno get split up. Holly gets bit like crazy in the neck in front of Juno. You get this like very old school style of like just ripping of the neck and spray blood, you know? Juno's like panicking and tries to like pull Holly. The crawler's fighting her. She grabs her pickaxe and like slashes at it. A second one comes.
Yeah, there's two of them.
And attacks Juno. So then the other one gets pickaxed by Juno, runs away. But the second one stays tackling. These fights between Juno and these crawlers are like, I think what makes her like get her redemption is that she's like a badass too.
But no.
But she's also
you keep
badass.
saying she has a redemption. I say no.
Because you know that
she doesn't deserve one.
She has this underlying motive, obviously,
yes.
the whole time. But she fights off the crawler, beats its ass, and we get a very sad moment. Okay, so think about it this way, right? What would you do in the moment where everything and anything is literally circling and attacking you? And the one person you thought you were with, which is Holly, is on the floor. And you're in berserker mode. You're attacking, you're defending yourself, you're in survival mode. Is it really off like
out of
track
the question
to turn at the next thing that attacks you and attack it?
No, and I understand that, but here's where she's still a bitch. She attacks her friend. She stabs her through the fucking throat.
Yep, Beth comes out of nowhere, grabs her, and she pickaxes her in the neck.
Very personally, I am not skilled at anything. I'm not ready to go like this. This bitch is ready to go. This bitch is ready to kill someone. I get that they're like active, outdoorsy people, but like, I don't think that means you're ready to just stab things in the throat.
I don't know if this is odd to ask, but do you think it's because they're a group of women that they've like taken self-defense classes and so that's why? Because it's just women? There's this added effect of like, we're alone out here, so we probably should like know how to defend ourselves against men.
I think you're supposed to gather that they're just like really active,
athletic
people more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So sure, say you do this all on accident or whatever, but then you realize it's your friend and then your friend is like, stay with me. You've just fucking killed them and then you still run away? And the creatures are gone as far as you can tell.
Well, again, this was like immediate though. She's in berserker mode. I think that's the thing, is that you're in berserker mode, you're in like survival mode, and you turn, and the first thing that is like there, you think it's another one.
Yeah, but then do you still, after you've murdered someone?
Oh no. Yeah, no.
That's what I'm saying.
Beth, as she falls, pulled the necklace off of her chest, which later plays a part. We get a lot more just panic. Becca and Sam are kind of trying to figure out how to survive. Sarah wakes up finally. Juno runs off and is like on her own. And Sarah wakes up. She walks around
with the camera, is basically recording all the deaths that are happening. It's a very like Blair Witch scene because you get her like heavy breathing in the camera at first, and then she's recording all these things.
It's very smart. I think it's a really good idea to use the camera because you're in pitch black, and I think they were using the infrared to help. It does suck because the only thing she can see is the monsters or the crawlers eating
everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. She
sees them eating, and then one of them has like a moment where it kind of notices that she's there and gets super close to the camera, and you can see the clicking and the chittering of the teeth and whatever. And Juno is screaming for Sarah. This is when we get the scene with the watch from Becca and Sam, because Becca and Sam are also having close encounters with the crawlers, and they're kind of trying to shimmy away, kind of just climbing on top of them. It kind of goes off. They get like a sigh of relief, and the watch goes off.
Yep.
And the crawler turns right around and shakes it off quickly, throws the watch, and Juno also hears the watch and is like, Becca, Sam, starts yelling, and so the crawler also starts going to Juno, and so Sam, I think, mentions, or Becca's like, if Juno keeps screaming like that, the crawlers are just going to all surround her. But Sam was like, okay, and...
Better her than us.
Yeah.
And she's the reason you're down here? Yeah.
Sarah, after...
is still on her own with these creatures, and they've kind of seemed like have their feast and had gone away, and she's trying to like make her way through the cave of bones, and that's where she notices her friend is still alive.
Beth, yep.
Even though
she saw them rip apart Holly. I thought Beth was Holly, but no, yes, Beth.
It's very hard to tell.
It's like they collect their food and bring it back to this one spot.
Yes, but Sarah does run into her and basically
does that make sense though? If you get chopped in the neck, you can still talk?
I think if someone, we should
cut a hole in your neck or
look this up, but if someone slices like across, it cuts your vocal cord, so
yeah, I guess maybe
you wouldn't be able to talk.
She just missed or something.
Maybe she like just missed and she's like slowly bleeding out.
Yeah.
And basically with her dying breath, she tells her, don't fucking trust Juno. She did this to me. And she banged your husband. Here's the necklace to prove that. Don't trust her. Please. And kill me, please, because I am suffering. And she's like, please don't ask me to do that. But she does.
Yep. And immediately gets attacked by the crawlers. That's when she has a whole thing. The action sequences in this are like out of nowhere because I didn't think it was that kind of movie. I thought it was just they get attacked by these crawlers and they're just surviving. But Sarah kicks ass. Sarah kills a couple of crawlers and then there's a female crawler. And that female crawler realizes that her siblings or husband or whatever child is dead.
Yeah.
And screams and starts chasing her and she runs and like falls out into this giant pit of blood.
Yes. And I was gonna like make this analogy. She falls into the blood and then comes out. It's kind of like a baptism or like a rebirth type of scene.
She's animalistic after all this.
After this, she's freaking feral and almost acting like the cave dweller people.
Yeah, because she's also completely unsurvivable. It's like Juno and Sarah have their like awakenings because Juno's also kicking ass to survive. Sarah's kicking ass to survive.
I would argue that Juno was like always this type of person because we get this scene too where she eventually does meet up with the other girls and defending them snaps one of the creature's neck like no fucking hesitation. I'm like, this bitch is too ready to snap some necks.
This is what I mean is that like maybe they brought up the Tomb Raider joke earlier because they're like, let's make Juno like Tomb Raider and make her character very much like that kind of kick-ass female figure who like knows how to fight, snaps necks apparently.
They have this moment where they've killed one of these creatures and Sam, because she was studying to be a doctor, Juno asked her like, what are these things? And we get this like kind of little like blurb of they're completely blind. They pretty much use sonar.
They're cave people, so the point is that they've adapted over time. Or I think that I read a fact that says the director's idea was that they're kind of like evolved cavemen that because they were never exposed to light, they're obviously blind. Like you said, sonar like bats. Their skin is completely white because they have no exposure to the sun.
And they eat whatever they can come across that pretty much gets near the opening of their cave.
One of them makes a good point. It's like, yeah, they have to go out and hunt and bring back food, so there's got to be an opening around here somewhere.
I believe it's Juno who points that out. You know, yada, yada, yada. Sam eventually dies in like
Sam
a weird
dies
scene.
in like a very sad scene too.
That makes no sense.
She's like climbing out and they're like, you don't have rope, and Juno and Becca are like, come on baby, please come back, and then like a crawler's right above her and slashes her throat and then she stabs it and then
She dies
very dramatically. She's like hanging from
her death
rope.
makes no sense. And then immediately after,
Becca gets yanked.
Her sister is also like murdered.
Like getting her stomach ripped out too. And Juno jumps out into the water to escape them. She runs into the one that Sam stabbed underwater and pulls his... It looked like... I thought she was pulling his like nipple out. But I think we realized that...
It was a weapon.
Her knife was still in him.
Yeah.
So she climbs out, and then Sarah is there, helps her out.
Sarah's actually the one, and I think she grabs her by the neck to pull her up, and very much hinting that she's fucking pissed at her. And again, at this point, you get the notion that Sarah's pretty much feral. Because
for sure.
She looks insane. She's covered in blood. You just see her eyes all crazy. They're pretty much like making their way out of there. You get the sense that they're like almost out, and then you get that scene that you were talking about.
Yeah, they're surrounded by crawlers. It's a very Mortal Kombat-ass scene. They pull out their pickaxes, and they're kind of like, come on, come at me. And the crawlers come in one by one. It's like a scene straight out of a fight movie.
Yeah.
And they're just kicking ass. Sarah's like gouging out eyes. Juno's bashing heads into the wall. I think at one point Sarah bites in on one and rips his face off, and it gets blood sprayed all over the
She starts acting like them. She takes like a play from their playbook.
Yeah.
And bites one straight in the neck.
Pulls his flesh off and spits it out. And basically they kick out everyone's butt. And they kind of just have a stare off.
Sarah grabs like a really old-timey looking axe. You get the sense it's from like the original expeditioners. And they're like staring at each other. And it's very clear without words. Sarah knows. Juno knows she knows.
She's got the keys in her hand.
And she's got the necklace in her hand.
Later we found out that the necklace says something that Paul used to tell Sarah. And it's Juno's
apparently
necklace.
Told both of them all the time.
Yeah.
I guess men are lazy and can't think of different fuckboy lines to give every girl.
I love you. I ain't gonna ever stop loving you.
And with the axe in her hand, she lets the necklace kind of fall. It's very dramatic. And like, she fucking stabs her in the leg, basically being like, I'm not gonna kill you, but like, good luck making it out of here.
And she leaves it in her leg too.
Yeah. And if you're Juno, like, can you even be mad at this point?
She's screaming, like, I hate you. Why?
She's not saying...
She's screaming as Sarah leaves because she's like, fuck.
But she deserves it.
Though.
Yeah.
You're right, though.
Yeah, and after this happens, you see like this massive horde, and there's like no way she's gonna fucking survive this on her own.
No way. Yeah, Sarah's like dragging herself out, and then she kind of just slips and then falls and passes out again.
Again. Apparently, this is where the UK and the US endings differ. And in the version we saw, she wakes up and
The light shines right in front of her.
daylight is actually right in front of her. She's crawling out.
And this mountain of bones.
Pops out of the ground again, another type of like rebirth, resurgence type scene. Makes a mad dash for the car and
she's like, oh my god, and grabs the car and is like a blessing in disguise.
yeah.
Drives off, just zooming through the roads and pulls over and just
Throws
cries
up.
her eyes out. She throws up after that truck passes. which
Yeah.
I don't understand why she waited till that to throw up, but
And then she turns around and Juno's ghost is in the passenger seat. And if I was Sarah, I'd be like, bitch, you have no right. Don't you dare come haunting me.
so I thought, because it ends right there,
hmm
I thought, what if it's that, because later I guess it's clarified it's her ghost, but I was like, what if Juno survived?
How though? How would she have like made it to the car that she like
How the hell
sped
did
out?
Sarah survive?
Well, that's where the UK ending comes into play because it's again that scene where she passes out on the ground. She wakes up and she sees her daughter again. This daughter that she's been seeing for this entire movie with the cake. And
The daughter's not really there.
right, because it pans out and it's just Sarah with the flashlight, not the flashlight, the fire torch that she has.
And the creatures are getting closer.
And that's where it ends.
So yeah, the fun fact was that apparently it was changed to the optimistic version because they believed that the US audiences couldn't handle it. Which,
Also because I read that they wanted to leave it open for a sequel.
There is a sequel.
There is. I don't know if
I've
I'll
never
watch
seen
it. I don't know if it'll be as good. I don't know if Sarah will be in it or not.
When it pans out, there's like no obvious way out.
Just to clarify in case it's confusing, that whole sequence where she pops out, is in the car and sees Juno's ghost still happens. It's just that when she sees Juno's ghost, she pops back into the cave where she had originally passed out and sees her daughter.
So people think Sarah killed all her friends and
Just
only
went crazy
imagined
in
all
the
the
cave.
crawlers. Yeah. Apparently there was even a scene that was left out of the movie where Sarah at the beginning is in the hospital and is running through that corridor that gets dark. She sees one of them, but they left it out. I think the theory is that like she just imagined the crawlers and she herself killed all of them, which
In the
unfortunate. Why would you kill all the friends? Just kill Juno.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I agree with that fan theory, honestly. It's too broad.
Well, I read it. And then I was like, well, I guess it makes sense because I thought the exact same thing when I saw when you see the alternate ending and she's just sitting there in the dark. It's like, what if she did kill? I mean, if she's having all these hallucinations, what would stop you from thinking she's the one who killed them all and just doesn't know it?
Fair enough, I guess.
You know, like Juno's the one she only knows. Juno's the one she knows for sure she killed because she had
her
ultimate
motive.
vendetta with her. Yeah, but all the rest were like, you know, just because she hallucinated they were crawlers maybe and killed them too. She's in this like you said, animal mode, feral mode. Why wouldn't? I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it's true. Just I thought the exact same thing, and then to read that it was a fan theory is like, oh yeah, I guess other people probably saw the same thing I did.
I don't know.
No,
maybe I have to actually read the fan theory.
Yeah, good stuff.
But what would you rate this movie?
I think it's fun. I'd say it's like a 7.5, 8.
Yeah, I think I would also give it like a 7. It's interesting because it's like an all-female cast. It's not like anything new or groundbreaking, I would say.
No, I think the kick-assness of it is very like it's of its time, 2000s. I feel like all those movies at the time were like trying to find like
about
kick-ass action. Yeah, even in horror. You know what I mean? The Tomb Raider references I think are fun with Juno, and how she's like a kick-ass kind of like bad guy, right? And then Sarah has her moments too, and like I said, the killing scenes and the gruesomeness of it all makes it fun too.
You know, you said it was pretty gruesome, but I think I've seen worse.
That's because you find very specific things gruesome.
You know, maybe it is. Because like so much of it happens in like these flashing scenes in the dark, and you're just like, okay.
That Mortal Kombat scene is hard to tell what's going on. For
sure.
Because they're all getting thrown around and rolling, and the head bashing and the eye gouging and the neck ripping is all. I think that's what makes it cool. That it is horrifying in the classical sense. Is that you've got these creatures killing off all of them one by one, ripping stomachs out, slashing necks. You know, even the sad moment where Beth gets stabbed in the neck with a pickaxe. It's like even they themselves didn't know who to like or what in the dark was attacking them. You know, they even like attacked each other.
Yeah.
So, sorry, 7.
A 7.
That's what you said.
Yeah. No, I'd finished my review.
Yeah. Okay. So,
do you want to talk about what scared Loki this week?
So you said the movie didn't actually scare him.
No.
I think the chitting, like the noises the monsters were making, kind of intrigued him. He didn't like growl or anything, but
nah,
he was staring.
He really couldn't care less. I think he was staring because he's like, "This is what you're watching," instead of paying attention to me.
He did like the little the foresty scenes. He was like laying down staring at it.
But I think what actually scared him this week is when you were playing Luigi's Mansion, because there's little ghosts that make these funny sounds when you suck them into like your Ghostbuster type vacuum, because he definitely started barking and growling.
Oh, he did. He was going off so bad. I thought it was because of the vacuum noise. You say it's because of the ghost sounds.
I think
it
so.
Could be any of it could be all of it, because he was going on for a while.
So which was it, Loki? Set the record straight. I told you so.
Making me look bad.
All right. As always, we hope you guys had a good time here with us. You can follow us pretty much anywhere at Shaken Not Scared Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok. Send us an email at shakennotscaredpod@gmail.com.
You can listen to us on all your favorite podcasting sites, Spotify, Apple, Google. Rate and review us. Did you already say that?
No, but please do.
Yeah.
Rate, review, subscribe.
You can buy us coffee. You can buy Loki a treat. So,
Okay, thanks. Bye.
bye.